There was a farmer who found gold one night. But this gold was not real, nor were the coins that stole it. That thing that came every night followed him, its heavy weight crushing his heart. This is the story of guilt and punishment. In a small village surrounded by green fields and simple farms, there lived a poor farmer named Arjun. Arjun worked every day in his fields, planting crops and tending to his land. But despite all his hard work, he remained very poor. His harvests were small. His earnings were barely enough to feed his family. Arjun had a wife named Kavya and 2 young children. They lived in a humble cottage made of mud and straw. The cottage had a thatched roof that leaked when it rained. Their furniture was simple and worn. They had very few possessions. Every night, Arjun would lie awake worrying about money. He worried about how he would feed his family. He worried about how he would pay for his children's education. He worried about medical care if anyone in his family became sick. The burden of poverty was always on his mind. One day, Arjun was plowing his field when his plow struck something hard beneath the soil. He stopped and dug deeper. Beneath the earth he found a clay pot. Inside the pot was gold. Hundreds of gold coins gleamed in the sunlight. Arjun's heart raced with excitement and disbelief. He looked around to make sure no one had seen him. Quickly, he took the pot and hid it beneath his cottage, covering it with earth and stones. That night, Arjun told his wife Kavya about the discovery. Her face showed both joy and worry. "This is a blessing from God," she said. "But we must be careful. We must not tell anyone about this gold. If people know we have wealth, they will come asking for money or trying to steal from us." Arjun agreed. He decided to keep the gold completely secret. He began to use small amounts of the gold to improve his family's life. He bought better food. He repaired the roof of his cottage. He bought new clothes for his children. But as Arjun began to spend the gold, something strange happened. He noticed that each night, after he had spent gold coins that day, something appeared in his dreams. The dreams were disturbing. He would see dark figures moving through his cottage. He would hear strange sounds like chains dragging across the floor. Arjun tried to ignore these dreams. He told himself they were just nightmares caused by stress. But the dreams continued. Each night they became more vivid and more frightening. One afternoon, Arjun was digging in his field preparing the soil for planting. His plow struck something hard beneath the earth. He stopped and began to dig with his hands. Soon he uncovered a clay pot, ancient and weathered. With trembling hands, Arjun opened the pot. Inside were hundreds of gold coins, gleaming and perfect. Gold coins of different sizes and ages filled the pot completely. Arjun's eyes widened in shock and amazement. This was more money than he had ever seen in his entire life. For a moment, Arjun sat frozen, holding the gold coins in his hands. He looked around the empty field to make sure no one was watching. Then he carefully put the coins back in the pot and looked for something to carry it. Finding a worn cloth bag, Arjun placed the entire pot inside and carried it on his shoulder back to his cottage. He kept looking behind him to make sure no one followed him. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might burst from his chest. When he reached his cottage, Arjun dug a hole beneath the floor and buried the pot there, covering it carefully with earth and stones. Then he waited anxiously for nightfall so he could tell his wife Kavya about the discovery. That night, when their children were asleep, Arjun told Kavya everything. He showed her some of the gold coins. Kavya's face showed wonder and fear mixed together. "This is a miracle," Kavya whispered. "This is an answer to our prayers. But Arjun, we must be very careful. If anyone finds out we have this gold, thieves will come. Our neighbors might become jealous and angry. We could be in danger." Arjun nodded. "I know. We will tell no one. We will use the money carefully and secretly. No one needs to know about this gold." But as days passed, Arjun could not resist using the gold. He knew his family needed things. He took out some coins and went to the village market. He bought good food: rice, lentils, vegetables, oil. He bought cloth to make new clothes for his children. He paid a carpenter to repair his cottage roof so it would not leak. Each time he spent the gold, he felt a mixture of joy and fear. The joy came from finally being able to provide for his family. The fear came from the secret he was keeping. The first night after Arjun had spent gold coins at the market, He had a terrible dream. In the dream, he was lying in his bed when he heard the sound of chains dragging across the floor. The sound grew louder and louder until Arjun was terrified. In the dream, a dark shadow appeared at the foot of his bed. The shadow had no face, but Arjun could feel it looking at him with anger and sadness. The shadow reached out toward him with arms that seemed to stretch endlessly. Arjun tried to scream, but no sound came from his mouth. Then Arjun woke up suddenly, his heart pounding, sweat pouring down his face. It was the middle of the night. The cottage was dark and quiet, but Arjun could not shake the feeling that something evil was present in the room with him. He looked at Kavya sleeping beside him. She seemed peaceful and undisturbed. Arjun lay awake for the rest of the night, afraid to fall back asleep. He told himself that it was just a nightmare, just his mind playing tricks on him because he was worried about the gold. But the nightmares continued. Every night Arjun had terrible dreams. He dreamed of dark shadows, of chains dragging, of voices calling his name in anger. Sometimes in the dreams he saw faces of people he did not recognize, their eyes filled with rage and sorrow. Each morning Arjun would wake up exhausted and frightened. He would have dark circles under his eyes. He would feel weak and tired all day. Kavya became worried about him. "Arjun, what is wrong with you?" she asked. "You look like you have not slept in days. Are you ill? Should I call the doctor?" Arjun did not want to tell her about the nightmares. He did not want to worry her. So he said, "It is nothing. I am just worried about the crops. The season has been dry and I am afraid the harvest will be poor." But Kavya did not believe him. She could see that something was deeply troubling her husband, something more serious than worry about crops. As days passed, Arjun's condition grew worse. The nightmares came every single night. Sometimes they were so vivid and terrifying that Arjun would wake up screaming, his whole body shaking. Kavya would hold him and try to comfort him, but she could not understand what was causing his suffering. Arjun began to lose weight. His clothes hung loosely on his body. His face became pale and thin. Dark circles appeared under his eyes so deep that he looked like a ghost. He moved slowly and spoke little. His energy was gone. The villagers noticed Arjun's deteriorating condition. Some whispered that he was cursed. Others said he had a disease. A few kind neighbors brought him soup and asked if he needed help, but Arjun refused their kindness. During the day, when Arjun tried to work in his fields, he would find himself staring at nothing, lost in dark thoughts. The nightmares had made him paranoid. He began to suspect that others knew about the gold. He imagined that people were following him, watching him, planning to steal the gold from him. One day, while Arjun was working in the field, he saw his neighbor Rajesh walking past. Immediately, Arjun became suspicious. "Why is Rajesh walking near my field?" he thought. "Is he trying to see if I have dug up something valuable? Is he looking for the gold?" Arjun followed Rajesh and confronted him angrily. "Why are you walking near my field? What are you looking for? Are you a thief?" Rajesh was shocked and hurt by Arjun's accusations. "I was just taking a walk," he said. "I was not doing anything wrong. Why would you say such things to me? We have been neighbors for years." But Arjun did not apologize. Instead, he drove Rajesh away with angry words. After that, Rajesh avoided Arjun, and the friendship that had lasted many years was destroyed. The same thing happened with other neighbors. Arjun's paranoia and suspicion made him push away everyone who had been his friend. The gold, which was supposed to make his life better, was making him isolated and miserable. One night, Kavya could no longer bear to watch her husband suffer in silence. She sat down beside him and demanded to know the truth. "Arjun, I cannot watch you destroy yourself like this," she said with tears in her eyes. "Every night you scream in your sleep. You have become paranoid and angry toward everyone. You are getting thinner and more sick each day. You must tell me what is wrong. I am your wife. I should be able to help you." Arjun looked at his wife's tear-stained face and felt a wave of guilt. He could no longer keep the secret. He told her everything: the nightmares, the dark shadows, the chains, the faces of angry spirits. He told her that he believed the gold was cursed. Kavya listened in silence. When Arjun finished speaking, she said quietly, "The gold is stealing your peace, Arjun. It is destroying your mind and your soul. I do not care about having riches if it costs us your health and our happiness. What should I do? Arjun asked desperately. The nightmares are getting worse. I feel like I am going mad. The spirits are angry with me for taking their gold. Kavya thought for a long time. Then she said, Arjun, you must return the gold to where you found it. You must put it back in the earth. Only then will the spirits leave you alone. Only then will you find peace again. Arjun felt a spark of hope in his heart. Yes, returning the gold seemed like the right thing to do. But he was also afraid. Will the nightmares stop immediately? He asked. I do not know, Kavya said. But I know that keeping the gold is destroying you. We do not need this cursed wealth. We need you, our husband and father, to be well and at peace. That night, Arjun made a decision. He would return the gold to the earth where he had found it. He would bury it deep in the ground and never touch it again. He would free himself from the curse of wealth that had nearly destroyed him. The next morning before sunrise, Arjun dug up the clay pot containing the gold from beneath his cottage. He placed it on his shoulder and walked toward his field. Kavya watched him go, her face showing hope that this might finally end their suffering. Arjun reached the exact place where he had found the gold months ago. He dug a deep hole in the earth. As he dug, he felt lighter with each shovelful of soil. He seemed to be releasing a great burden that had been weighing down on his soul. When the hole was deep enough, Arjun placed the clay pot inside and began to cover it with earth. With each handful of soil he threw into the hole, he felt the weight lifting from his heart. The dark thoughts that had plagued him for weeks seemed to be disappearing with the earth that was covering the gold. Finally, when the hole was completely filled and smoothed over, Arjun stood up and looked at the field around him. The morning sun was rising, casting golden light across the land. For the first time in weeks, Arjun felt a sense of peace. He walked back to his cottage with a lighter step. When he arrived home, Kavya was waiting for him at the doorway. She could see immediately that something had changed in her husband. His face seemed lighter. His posture was straighter. His eyes had a spark of hope in them again. I did it, Arjun said to Kavya. I returned the gold. I put it back in the earth where it belongs. Kavya embraced her husband, and they held each other for a long time. That night, Arjun went to bed with fear still in his heart. Would the nightmares come again? Or would returning the gold truly free him from the curse? He lay in bed beside Kavya and closed his eyes. Sleep came quickly, easier than it had in weeks. And for the first time in a long time, Arjun did not have nightmares. The whole night he slept peacefully. He did not see dark shadows. He did not hear the sound of chains. He did not see angry faces. His sleep was deep and restful, like the sleep of an innocent man. When Arjun woke up in the morning, he felt completely different. His body felt rested. His mind felt clear. The paranoia and anxiety that had gripped him were gone. It was as if a heavy darkness had lifted from his soul. Kavya could see the change immediately. You slept well? She asked hopefully. Yes, Arjun said with genuine relief in his voice. For the first time in weeks, I slept without fear. The nightmares are gone. Over the next few days and weeks, Arjun continued to improve. His appetite returned. He began to gain weight and strength. The dark circles under his eyes faded. His face became less pale. Most importantly, his mind became clear again. The paranoia disappeared. He could think rationally again. His relationship with his neighbors slowly began to heal. He approached Rajesh one day and apologized for his angry words and unfounded accusations. Rajesh, who was a kind man, forgave him. The friendship was restored. Arjun realized something important. The gold had never been a blessing. It had been a curse because it was not honestly earned. It had been obtained through theft. The guilt of taking something that did not belong to him had manifested as nightmares and paranoia. By returning the gold, he had returned to his moral path. He had released himself from the weight of dishonesty. Weeks passed, then months. Arjun returned to his normal life as a farmer. He worked hard in his fields, and his harvests were modest but honest. He earned just enough to provide for his family's needs. But something had changed in Arjun's heart. He had learned a profound lesson about wealth and morality. He realized that the small amount of honest money he earned from his labor was far more valuable than a large amount of dishonest wealth. The peace of mind that came from honest living was worth more than all the gold in the world. Arjun began to live his life with a new wisdom. When his children asked him why they were still poor, he told them stories about the gold and the curse that had nearly destroyed their family. True wealth is not measured in gold coins, he told his children. True wealth is measured in peace of mind, in honest relationships with our neighbors, in the respect we earn through our hard work and kindness. The dishonest wealth we tried to keep nearly destroyed our family, but our honest poverty has given us something more valuable. It has given us our integrity and our peace. One day, a young farmer from a neighboring village came to Arjun asking for advice. The young man had found some jewelry buried in his field, and he was tempted to keep it. Arjun listened to the young farmer's story, and then he told him about the gold he had found and the curse that had nearly destroyed his life. He described the nightmares, the paranoia, the suffering. "I returned that gold," Arjun told the young farmer, "and I have never regretted it. The guilt of dishonest wealth was worse than any poverty. I encourage you to do the same. Return what does not belong to you, and you will find peace." The young farmer listened carefully to Arjun's words. He was moved by Arjun's story and his honesty. He decided to follow Arjun's advice. He returned the jewelry to the authorities, and it was eventually returned to its rightful owner. Years later, that young farmer would tell his own children Arjun's story, and it would inspire them to live with honesty and integrity. A young farmer named Dev came to Arjun one day, troubled and confused. Dev had found precious jewelry buried in his own field, bracelets and necklaces made of gold and studded with gems. The jewelry was worth a fortune. Dev explained his temptation to Arjun. "I could keep this jewelry secretly," Dev said. "I could sell it gradually and become wealthy. My family could have everything we have always wanted. Why should I give up such an opportunity?" Arjun looked at the young man with compassion. He recognized his own struggle in Dev's words. So Arjun told him the entire story, about finding the gold, about the nightmares, about the guilt and paranoia that had nearly destroyed his life and his family. Arjun described in detail the terror of the nightmares, the weight of guilt that had made him lose sleep, lose weight, lose his sanity. He described how the wealth that was supposed to make his life better had instead made it unbearable. "I returned that gold," Arjun concluded, "and in returning it I regained my peace. I regained my mind. I regained my dignity. Whatever wealth you gain through dishonesty will always carry this price: the loss of your peace and your integrity." Dev listened carefully to every word. He could see in Arjun's face and manner the truth of what he was saying. The older farmer's wisdom and honesty were clear. Dev made his decision that day. "I will return the jewelry," Dev said. "I will not let dishonest wealth corrupt my life like it nearly corrupted yours." Dev returned the jewelry to the local authorities, explaining where he had found it. The jewelry was eventually returned to its rightful owner, a wealthy merchant who had lost it years ago during a storm. The merchant was so grateful that he gave Dev a substantial reward for his honesty. Ironically, Dev received more wealth through his honesty than he would have received by keeping the jewelry secretly. More importantly, Dev preserved his integrity and his peace of mind. Years passed. Arjun lived his entire remaining life as an honest farmer. He never became wealthy in the material sense, but he was rich in peace, in family relationships, and in the respect of his community. When Arjun was old and had grown gray with age, young farmers from across the region would come to him seeking advice and wisdom. They had heard about the farmer who had found cursed gold and had the strength of character to return it. Arjun's story became a legend in the village. Parents told their children about the gold and the curse. The story became a teaching tool about the dangers of dishonesty and the value of integrity. Arjun's own children grew up hearing the story of their father's struggle. They learned that honesty was more important than wealth. They became honest people themselves. One of Arjun's sons became a respected teacher. His daughter became a midwife who helped deliver babies in the village. Both contributed to their community through honest work. Arjun's relationship with Kavya remained strong throughout their lives. She had been the one who encouraged him to return the gold, and because of her wisdom and strength, they had avoided a tragedy that could have destroyed their family. The day before Arjun died, He called his children and grandchildren to his bedside. He told them one final time the story of the gold and the curse. "Remember," he said to them with his final breaths, "that dishonest wealth is a poison. It destroys the soul and corrupts the spirit. Never let greed make you compromise your integrity. The greatest wealth is peace of mind and the respect of your community. These things cannot be bought with gold. They must be earned through honest living and moral choices." The story of Arjun and the cursed gold teaches us several important truths about human nature and morality. First, it teaches us that dishonest wealth, no matter how large or how easily obtained, brings suffering. The guilt of wrongdoing manifests as mental anguish. Arjun's nightmares were not supernatural. They were the manifestation of his guilty conscience. His paranoia was the result of knowing he had done something wrong and fearing that others would discover it. Second, it teaches us that honest poverty is better than dishonest wealth. Arjun was poor when he worked honestly, but he was at peace. When he tried to use dishonest wealth, he became rich but miserable. The choice between them was clear. Third, it teaches us that it is never too late to correct our mistakes. Arjun could have kept the gold. He could have told himself that he had earned it through his years of hard work. But he recognized that the gold was not honestly his, and he had the courage to return it. This act of returning what did not belong to him was the turning point that began his healing. Fourth, it teaches us that our choices ripple outward and affect others. Arjun's decision to return the gold not only saved his own mental health and his marriage, but it also inspired young Dev to make the right moral choice. Arjun's example became a teaching story that influenced generations of farmers in his village. Finally, it teaches us about the nature of true wealth. True wealth is not measured in gold or possessions. True wealth is measured in peace of mind, in strong family relationships, in the respect of our community, and in the knowledge that we have lived with integrity. These riches cannot be stolen, cannot be lost, and bring more satisfaction than any material possession. The curse of Arjun's gold was not a supernatural curse. It was the natural consequence of dishonesty. By returning the gold and choosing integrity, Arjun lifted the curse and found true peace and true wealth.